are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
Just,
good. Good
just
to
got
be
back home.
home. Yeah, super good to be back. It's like incredibly beautiful. Like all of the
Mm,
trees are turning orange and yellow, and it's just so pretty. It's a little bit sad that I won't be able to run in it, but it's okay.
mm.
It's okay.
Yeah. Do you want
Let's
to tell
share.
the story?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I can. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. Honestly, it was just a stupid ankle roll, and I heard it pop, and I was like, oh wow. I sat down because it was like instant searing, burning pain. So I was like, okay, let this pass. Sat down, composed myself, and got back up to try and run. And I took 3 steps and rolled it again. And I was like, okay, well, this race is too technical for me to keep going. I just can't. So yeah,
So did it happen during Otter,
yeah, yeah,
this race that you did in South Africa?
yeah.
Oh.
Went
So
to
you
the
had to
race
drop
to
out
like,
actually.
yeah, yeah. No, I didn't finish. Yeah, it
How do you
sucked
feel about
because I
that?
was like, I mean. Weirdly at peace about it, to be honest. Um, I think because I went to the race, um, like looking to have a good like. I went to the race because I needed to like re fall in love with the sport, and this race is where trail running started for me, and it's got so much soul, and the organizers are amazing, and the people who do it are so stoked to be there because it's such a small race. They only allow 300 people on. Um, so like everyone who's there is just so psyched about it. And I had to hobble along the course for like a K and a half before I could get out because there's not that many exit points and it's very hard to get to because you're very isolated along the coast. So like walking backwards along the route, having everyone run past me, like as much as it sucked to be injured and like my race ending, it was just so good to feel so much love from the community and everyone stopped and was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like
Yeah.
it sucked, but it made me realize how much I love the sport. Like it's just so unique and it's so special and yeah, like it sucks. Just like the disappointment of not being able to finish the race was obviously huge, but um yeah, I feel like I achieved what I needed to achieve by going there. So yeah, it
I can
I'm
relate.
bummed I can't be at Le Templier this weekend. But
I know.
yeah.
I definitely feel some FOMO, but I'm in my off season, so I want to respect
Yeah.
that and probably take some time off. But yeah, going back to your DNF, like your decision definitely made sense even from a technical standpoint because
Mhm.
you could have got very badly injured if you
Yeah.
had decided to finish the race, which was not even you know
Yeah, it was obviously winning a race is always the main goal, right? It's a
yeah.
goal that you go like we're professional athletes. We don't stand at the start line to just like walk it in. Um, but the main goal was really to just fall in love with the sport, and I feel like I achieved that. So,
Why do you
but yeah,
think
like
you lost some of the love
where
or like spark
where do you think I did that?
or when like why
Uh, mm,
was it after CCC or was it part of the bigger
I think it was CCC last year, honestly.
oh
Yeah. I've been struggling a lot this year, and I just feel like I gave so much in CCC last year that I I've just struggled to find my rhythm again. Like this year has been hard, and I think it's multitude of factors, like a
yeah
lot of stuff going on in my personal life, my training being good but never feeling amazing, constantly like having niggles, moving house, getting married, like all of these things, just like I just never found my rhythm this year. And I feel like everything was a slog and like I was never excited about training and I was bored with my race calendar because I was going back to UTMB again and I was just like
mm,
I wanted something new and I just didn't give that like I didn't give it to myself. The only race that I did really well in was Lavaredo and it was like because it was a new event, it was a new place, it was like that was exciting to me. So I've learned my lesson.
but
Like, you can't just go to races because we're told to go. Like, part of the reason I love the sport is because I want to show up at like fun new things and do exciting things. And I love UTMB, but I can't go back every year.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I remember at Lavaredo you weren't even like 100% satisfied with your performance.
Oh no.
I mean, you won the race, you set the course record, but obviously you know better than anyone else what you're capable of and what you can actually give on race day. So I totally understand that. And that's super interesting though, because like from what from the outside looks like such a great success, like your victory at CCC last year,
Mm,
that was the start of a not so not so easy year, I
mm,
guess, or like yeah. I mean, I think people look at this success as something entirely positive for your life and your career and yourself as an athlete, but
yeah.
it's not necessarily that way. And I think it's this kind of contradiction that
Mm,
many of us don't understand, but
mm.
I can definitely relate to. Um, Having
Yeah,
found
I
myself
feel
in a
like,
similar situation this year, obviously,
yeah. Like
and
when you
yeah,
I feel like when you win this big, like these big goals, and I feel like I saw you say something about this as well, where it's like you feel like you should be ecstatic about it. Like it should feel like this thing that you're super happy about. And one of the things that I struggled so much with was feeling so guilty by the fact that I was so disappointed. I just felt so empty after finishing, not even finishing, like the month afterwards. I was just like, I feel like I should be more stoked about this and happy about my race and like all of these amazing things are supposed to happen, and like I just didn't feel any of it. And I think I really struggled with that, partly because I like, yeah, just because of like that post-race blues I think is a real thing, but also um yeah, I don't know, you give so much in training and then the race happens and then I don't know, I just was left feeling
it's
so
all over
empty.
very quickly. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think it's also like this void that you feel after the race that speaks for the importance that it has for you.
Mm,
That represents that truly represent what it meant for you, not just the result, but the experience, the training, the
mm,
preparation. Because the race is just the tip of the iceberg of a much
yeah.
bigger trajectory and experience. But I think the the void that you feel afterwards is kind of like it's kind of connected with the very meaningful and emotional experience.
Mm,
So it's
yeah.
in some way I feel like it's part of the game, but obviously it's hard to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for
I
sure. And
try
I
to reframe it in this way for me
yeah,
because
I think it's a good way
I
to do
felt in a
it.
similar situation, and not that I was disappointed, of course,
Yeah.
but I think this gap between my expectations and what I was actually feeling, that was what determined
Mm,
this post race blues.
yeah. I think mine was also a little bit of like, um, I don't know, I don't know why, but guilt is like the word that comes to mind when I think about the period after CCC
Hmm.
last year, because it's like, yeah, I should be so happy about this win, but I just couldn't get over the fact that I just wasn't happy. And I understand what you're saying about that like post race void and like how much because it means so much to you. But I think for me it was more just like um I don't know, maybe it was burnout, maybe I was just like uh yeah, I really don't know. I can't tell you what it was, but it took me months to feel like myself again. And even then, I just think like I never fully got my motivation back to train. And it's like this year I've been forcing it. And that's why going back to Ottawa was so important to me because it really was like I felt like it was the full circle moment that I needed, like the race that started it all for me, then coming back to the race and like, yeah, it's like yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful and I feel better now. Like I really do. I feel like I'm very much
That's
at
good.
peace with my season, even though it wasn't the season that I had imagined. I'm at peace with it. And I think that like acceptance of the fact that this just was not my year is has been important for me. because I feel like I've just been like, I've always been on the back foot of being like, I need to make up for it. I need to like, I need to do Le Templier. I need to get the course record there. I need to win it. I need to. And it's like always, I've got to do more because it didn't feel like it was enough. And actually, like, I did 4 races this year. I won them all. I got course records in them all. Like, they may not have been the big races that I wanted to do. They may not have been the distances that I enjoy normally doing, but like, by all means, it wasn't like a fail. It just wasn't
No.
my best year, and that's okay, right? It's like, I don't know. I've had a pretty steep upward trajectory for the past 3 years, so this was bound to happen. And I guess how I deal with this and move forward from now is really what's going to be important.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very well said. I think it speaks for how high you actually set the bar. If 4 races and 4 wins and 4 course records, even not in like say top tier races, that represents how high you set the bar for yourself, obviously. But yeah, I can definitely understand. And personally, coming out from a very successful year by
Yeah.
every standard, I think I'm worrying a little bit about next year and whether I can keep this record. Not because I
Yeah.
have to, but at some level, I want to. Of course, I
Yeah.
want to win. I want to perform. I want to improve. But I know that it's not a linear trajectory and like a constant upward trajectory. At some
Yeah.
point, there will be a race. There will be failure. There will be something.
Mm.
And partly that happened at World Champs. Like I didn't have the race that I imagined, that I was hoping for, and it was hard to stay in it. I got 9th. It was. I'm still. There's still like lots of reasons why I'm happy about the race, but from the outside, it doesn't look like perfect. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I get it.
that's just the life of an athlete. But
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. And again, like what you're
nobody
saying,
teaches you that.
no, no. And it's like one of those like lived experiences that you have to go through for you to like be able to learn from it and understand how to move forward through it. And I think the biggest lesson that I learned this year was that the pressure of being considered one of the favorites at the start line is very, very different than the pressure that one you put on yourself, because we always put a lot of pressure on ourselves
Yeah.
when we start at the start line, of course, but also the pressure of being like the underdog or someone who is maybe like, maybe you're in the top 10 of the people who are at the start line, but you're not necessarily the favorite to win, or like you're a complete nobody. Like I've been all of those things. I feel like OCC was the underdog. CCC, I was like top 10, but no one really thought that I'd do it on my first 100K. And then this year coming into CCC and being like, everyone being like, yeah, you're the reigning champion. You are going to do this. Like you're the
You should
obvious
win.
favorite to win.
Yeah.
It's like a very, very different mentality. And like, I think I'm pretty good at handling pressure. I think that's one of my strengths. But I think it was a level of pressure I hadn't experienced before, and I didn't actually know how to deal with it. So I think like, and that kind of speaks to what you're saying also about like after having such a successful year, like your year has been mind-blowingly good. So to move forward through that, it's like, okay, so now I've got this pressure that I'm going to hold myself to, or like the standard that I'm holding myself to, but now there's also this external pressure that I need to learn to handle. And it's not that it was never there, it just shifts ever so slightly and becomes, I don't know, maybe more present. At least for me, it did. And I think learning to deal with that is really important. But I mean, I'm saying this, I don't think I haven't learned. Definitely need to figure that one out because it's a piece of the puzzle I haven't found yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also a very privileged situation that only a handful of people get to experience, actually, like only
Yeah.
the very best of the sport. So it's also a testament of how good you've become. And also, like, on some level, you're seeking for that pressure. Like, you want to be considered, you want your name to be mentioned in previews and, podcasts and by people, and you pay attention to that, at least on some level, I think.
Yeah,
But at the
definitely.
same time, you want to still feel like the underdog and feeling like you're on the start line, but you are the only one who actually knows what you're capable of. And so I think it's this balance that is very difficult to
Yeah.
achieve.
Yeah. It's like allowing enough of the noise to give you confidence and to um yeah, I don't know, in some ways stroke your ego a little bit, because I do think a large portion of this is about like, yeah, you need
Recognition
to
is
be
good. Like, we
recognition
want to
is,
be
yeah,
recognized.
totally, totally. And I
It's
think,
natural.
being a little bit egotistical, not in a negative way, but like just being confident in what you're able to do, and being part of that is like hearing other people validate that is important. But then it's being able to shut that out when the noise, or when it becomes unnecessary and irrelevant. And I think race week is one of those periods where it does become irrelevant, because it's all about you and it's all about why you're there. And like at the end of the day, the pressure that we put on ourselves to perform is high enough. It's enough pressure to get the best out of you, right?
That is
Especially
that is
now that,
definitely where the most pressure comes from.
yeah, yeah, always. Um, and like with races getting more competitive now, just having like a stack of 20 women at CCC this year who could have won the race, like that again is another level of pressure that is mostly an internal one, but it is like another level of pressure that wasn't necessarily there last year, because there were a handful of women last year, but this year there was like 20 deep. So it's just interesting to see, like in the space of a year, how much changed, like how much that dynamic changed between one start line and the next, and how differently I managed them, um, or didn't manage it this year, I guess. Yeah. It's
So,
just
what are
interesting.
you planning to work on or adjust for next year? If you're actually
Good
consciously
question.
planning to do something differently, like it
No,
doesn't
I
have to,
am.
but
No, I am. I definitely think um, I'm looking to try and work with like some sort of mental coach. Um, I haven't found the person yet. Um, I also think potentially finding someone who can help me manage the media side of things and like my personal brand side of things around race week, so that I don't have to deal with that side of it. Um, but I also think that it is part of the job of being a professional
yeah,
athlete. So it's like finding the good balance between giving enough of my time so that I'm fulfilling my obligations, but not so much of me that it's exhausting me. So it's like that fine balance there. And then, yeah, just finding someone who can give me like the right tools to shut out the noise when I need to. Um, because yeah, I think that that's really important.
yeah,
But yeah, I haven't found the right person yet.
you
It's
will.
not easy.
There's a lot of good people, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's not something that I've personally seeked, but I know
Mm,
that a lot of people can help you. But what you mentioned about, race week media and the obligation of the life of a professional athlete, I think it also speaks for like it's maybe a tipping point within your career and within the sport, because until some point in your career, you're actively seeking for media opportunities and
mm,
sponsors and stuff. But then the more you improve, it becomes like being conscious about your own space and
yeah.
your like setting boundaries and being able to say no to opportunities,
Mm,
actually. And it's not like we're always in that situation, obviously, but it can get overwhelming very quickly. So
yeah. I mean,
again,
UTMB this week was a very overwhelming week, I think, for not only the people who had media obligations, just everyone. I think
yeah,
everyone felt it this year. There was a shift in the energy and the atmosphere, and it was, I think, at least noticeable. But yeah, if you're not careful, it's very easy to burn yourself out.
yeah, yeah. Again, it's a balance, and
Mm.
it's good to be conscious about it.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned um, the necessity to like explore and experience everything that there is to experience in the sport, and the importance of being excited about goals and races. But there's also, as a pro athlete, this necessity to fulfill the obligations of the brand. And it's not like they're telling you, hey, you have to do CCC next year, you have to do UTMB. But you know that they really care about it, and it's a very important event for the brand, and you're under the spotlight, and it's basically the biggest stage for the sport. So how do you balance that with what you actually care about and need to do?
I think part of what motivates me in the sport is the competition. It's like I really enjoy showing up at races that are going to be highly competitive. I don't think you should do that all the time. I think sometimes showing up at a smaller race and just having like a good confidence booster race or like a training run and being able to take it actually as a training run is really important. But I do think that I get a lot of motivation and excitement from racing competitive races. So, deciding to then to show up to a UTMB is pretty easy because it is, like you say, going to be probably one of the most competitive races of the year. In saying that, everything around it then needs to be races that fulfill me. And I think that's where the curiosity and the excitement to see new places, to run on new trails, to get to know different communities, like that to me is really important. And I think when you're training and racing for ultra distance events, curiosity is such an important word for me because so much of what we do is there's obviously the physical side to it, but so much of it is the mental side. And if that curiosity to push your body, to see something new, to run on new trails, to like, I don't know, there's so much to be curious and excited about in the sport. And if you don't have that curiosity, I think you're gonna hit a wall and you're not gonna get past it. I think part of my problem with CCC with this year was that I lost that curiosity. It was like a copy paste of the year before, and I thought that would just work, and it didn't. So like I lost that curiosity to push my body and to see where I could go. Um, and I think doing different races, like showing up at Lavaredo, was like I was so excited to see these mountains and to like the community around the race is so fun and just like really great. And that for me is what the sport is about. So I think, like you say, you've got to show up at the brand important races and the races that mean something to the bigger trail running community. So a UTMB, a Western States, maybe we'll see Worlds become that as well at some stage. I hope there's going to be more races that fill that gap as well, so that we don't only have one 50K event. So, if you're running 100 miles, you're probably only choosing between Western States or UTMB, and then there's only CCC and OCC. So I would like to see maybe 3 races at the level of UTMB across the year and across the continents that allow people to showcase and brands to be present at all 3 that live up to like a world champs level. But that's probably like years down the
Not quite
line.
there, yeah.
No, not quite there yet. But if world champs can become that in 2 years' time and in 4 years after that, like I think that would fill a gap as well. And then showing up at those races becomes much easier when there's options around that. I think that's what I'm trying to get at is like UTMB or a UTMB like event that's important for the brand is easier to say yes to when the path to get there is your choice and there's a lot of
Okay.
options, right?
Okay.
Um,
Or when UTMB is not the only option as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, sadly, at this point, unless you're running Western States, which I would say is maybe the equivalent of a UTMB in terms of
Yeah, but still a little
publicity.
lower. I mean, it's still a much smaller event, even in
Yeah.
terms of participation.
Mm,
375 people versus thousands of
yeah.
people and thousands of
Thousands.
fans and participants. The course is much
Yeah.
harder to access, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of logistics involved. But
Mm,
yeah, we can probably. It's probably safe to say that UTMB is the pinnacle event, and
mm,
everything else is a little lower,
Yeah.
and to have more events that achieve the status of UTMB would make the sport a little healthier, probably,
Mm.
or
I do
balanced.
think, I think though that, you know, the world champs this year was in some ways not a success, but in other ways quite
Yes,
successful.
I
Um,
think the same. And we can go over
and
the reasons why it's like that.
um, and I think Cape Town poses a really good opportunity to rectify some of those faults, but also to build on the things that were successful. And I hope that more brands see the importance of trail running, the world champs as well, and start backing that more. We saw it a little bit this year,
Yeah,
with some brands posting about the athletes who are running, and I think it should grow. I do. And I think then that gives us a really good opportunity to go, okay, one year it becomes a UTMB year and the next year it becomes a world champs year. I don't think that has to be the case. I do wish that they would separate them so that you could do both if you wanted to. But for now, it seems that next world champs in Cape Town will be a one or the other situation again. Um, but yeah, I do think it potentially will become the next big installment in the race calendar, and I think that's a
hopefully.
good thing. It's exciting. It means that people will get to, yeah, hold on to that curiosity that kind of forms the base of what trail running is, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. I know that several conversations are happening between UTMB and World Athletics and
mm,
the three organizations that actually put in place the World Champs. So
yeah,
hopefully we will get there after, lots of conversation and lots of work.
yeah,
But yeah, maybe it would be interesting to go over the reasons why the very recent World Champs in Canfranc represented both an improvement and, for other reasons, um, maybe a setback compared
mm,
to Innsbruck or even
mm,
Thailand. What
yeah,
was your impression? You were there.
yeah.
Interesting enough not to race, and we can also maybe
No.
go over the reasons why you didn't race.
Mm,
I was there to compete, so we had obviously two different experiences.
mm.
What was yours?
Yeah, so um, I don't think a lot of people knew why I was there. So maybe this is a good time to clear that up.
Yeah,
I was not there to represent Team South Africa, unfortunately. I was there um, as a part of what they called the Observer Program. So because South Africa and Cape Town specifically is the host of the 2027 World Champs, um, they have sent a delegation of people who were organizing or are going to organize the event, as well as our athletics federations, um, locally and nationally, and then also our sports and culture minister was there. So pretty important people were all there to observe what happened in Canfranc. I think from what we saw, I think the biggest positive from the event was that the races themselves were quite beautiful, and I think they succeeded in a lot of ways in making sure that the routes themselves were the champion of the event. Easy to do when you're in a place like Canfranc, right? Because it's so
right.
beautiful. Um, they had pretty much everything they needed to make the routes a success, and I think to some extent they did that. Maybe some of the long course was a little maybe a little bit too much of a Bundy bash, but I guess it depends what you like.
Yeah,
And I personally I thought that they were beautiful courses. So I think that was, for me, the biggest takeaway that was really positive. And I think you can get away with a lot in terms of an event when you have good courses.
right.
Um, but for me, that's kind of where the positives not stopped, but there were big question marks around a lot of the other stuff, and particularly around like the logistics of the event. I just
Totally.
think I don't feel like, and I don't make this the fault of the organization. I think part of it is that Canfranc is such a tiny village. Like itself is 300 people who live there year round. So the capacity of the village just wasn't big enough to hold that amount of people. And because of that, the whole race organization was spread out across 25 kilometers between the top half and the bottom half of the valley, and not enough infrastructure in place to get people between there efficiently enough. And that for me is a huge missed
Huge.
opportunity,
Yeah.
because part of what is so incredible about an event like World Champs is being able to integrate yourself with people from Singapore, with people from Australia, with people from Americas, with people from Guatemala, like, all of these incredible people who've managed to get to this place, but we didn't get to see them. Like, you're walking around the race village, which was not really a race village either. There was that, it was missing that element of like being able to come together as athletes from across the world, and there
Yeah,
was
the
nowhere for us
championship
to do that.
atmosphere
There was nothing.
was nothing.
Yeah.
I
So
completely agree.
I think that was a huge, huge missed opportunity. And again, like having somewhere for us to meet and greet, like have an amazing race village with an athlete area where people can come and relax, with food trucks, with music. Like there was just no atmosphere.
Having a proper opening ceremony, maybe.
Yeah,
There wasn't
that would
one.
also be a good one.
We
I mean,
tried to organize one last minute with the PTRA in
yeah.
Haka, which was the town where most of the teams were staying at the
Mm,
hotels. But it was like, hey, do you guys want to show up like 2 hours later in this park? And then, yeah, some people came. We were maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 national teams and
mm.
maybe 150 people or so. But obviously, it wasn't the same. So
I
that was a
mean,
huge missed opportunity,
a
as you
huge missed
said.
opportunity. I like back in Innsbruck, and I think this is where Innsbruck did super well, is they marched us and paraded us through the town. So you have the people who are there for the event, obviously, as well, but then you also have all of these outsiders who are just in the town, who see us, who get to be involved in the sport. And I think that's how you grow the sport, one. But it also, as an athlete, just makes you feel like you're part of something, right?
Right.
And the there was hardly a parade for the opening ceremony that they did have. It was like you in Innsbruck, you got called up onto the stage, and like you got to wave your flag. They played a song from your country, and then you walked off. So every single country that was there got their moment. And it didn't happen this time. So it was incredibly, I want to say, just random. It felt super random. um, which
Yeah,
is,
very
like
well
you say,
said.
such a missed opportunity. Um, Same with the awards ceremonies, right? Like not having the
Very true.
infrastructure in place to get everyone to come and watch the prize ceremonies. I just feel like they sound like little things, but this is what makes it a world-class event. This is what it's about. And it just didn't, it felt like a small event in a small town
It did.
that didn't have capacity to host the people that they invited. It didn't feel like a world class event. Like you look at what they do in track and field in Tokyo, like that is, I mean, they're a couple years ahead of us, right? But that's
Maybe
what a
more.
world class event is. So I think we've got a long way to get to that point. I'm not going to say Cape Town is going to nail it in every aspect, but I think being there as an observer, having now given our feedback as athletes on what we expect when we go to an event like this, hopefully they'll take that into account. And I think inherently Cape Town is better prepared for that number of people. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of those elements will be easily rectified. Um, but yeah, it is still a big challenge, and I do think regardless of how well prepared Cape Town might be, it's still going to be a big event to put on. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm curious. As an athlete, what was your
Very well
experience
put.
from the other side?
No, I had very similar impressions about the logistics, and honestly, I think the biggest limit was the capacity of the venue, because obviously in a city like Innsbruck or even Chiang Mai in Thailand, which
Mm,
was not the place you would associate with the sport of trail running, but they did a pretty good job with integrating with the local community and having a parade and making the travels and logistics easy for athletes and teams.
mm,
It was just too difficult there, and they didn't do a good job. It's like almost they didn't care about it, which is a big part of what makes a championship
mm,
a championship.
mm,
Honestly, like an opening ceremony can sound like, not the main reason why you would go to a world champs, because obviously you're there for racing, but
mm.
it's still part of the experience, especially
Yeah.
for young people, for athletes whose participation at the world champs is a once in a lifetime opportunity. people who are coming from, as you mentioned, Guatemala, South America, Asia, Indonesia, and it was like 80 countries this year. It was the second biggest World Athletics event after the Tokyo Track and Field Championship.
Mhm.
So a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you mentioned, that is a missed opportunity, which
Mm.
was maybe from the outside, um, it wasn't as evident, mainly because
Mm.
races, as you mentioned, day races were beautiful, beautiful
Mm.
venue, beautiful courses. Participation was really good.
Mm.
You could argue that, especially, yeah, I want to speak maybe mainly for the trail races, but also the mountain races. They were the arguably the most competitive events of the year,
Mm. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure at the same level of UTMB and CCC
Yeah.
and OCC.
Yeah, I would
So,
definitely say like the men's long trail was incredibly like this the density in that field was incredibly high.
mhm.
Even in the women's race, it was pretty good. The short trail races were incredibly well supported. I think like I can't speak for mountain running because I don't know that world super well, but the
It's
people who showed
still,
up, like they still ran ridiculous times. Like I
and
think the
it's
competition
their
was there.
pinnacle event. Like they
Yeah.
don't have an equivalent of UTMB for mountain
Mhm.
running. So everyone shows up at Worlds, and I don't know, even the presence of Remy Bonnet, for example, was for the
Yeah.
first time at the World Champs was huge to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously
Like
that went really, really well and was a
mm,
great success because athletes and people in general got very excited about the World Champs after Innsbruck and they wanted to compete. So
mhm.
Jim Walmsley, Katie
Yeah.
Scheid, and Tovi, and so many
Yeah.
good
You.
athletes came.
I
I've
think
always
the fact that
I've always competed at Worlds, so it's been I was like my ninth participation, so I feel
oh
like a veteran. So,
wow.
but it's also interesting because I can compare with previous editions, and I know,
Mm,
yeah, they did a good job on a number of aspects, but they definitely didn't do a good job on other aspects of the
yeah,
organization of the World Champs, as you pointed
yeah,
out. So
yeah,
there
and
is
just
for
like
sure a lot of room to grow,
mm,
and
yeah,
hopefully, yeah, Cape Town will be able to learn from the experience, and the fact that you were there is honestly huge. Like you can give such great feedback, and I don't know
mm,
how and if you will be involved with the organization, but hopefully yes.
well, I can't be too involved because I want to run it too.
Right, right.
No, but I think, like you say, it's super valuable for them to have the athlete's perspective because I think that can be overlooked sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, and they have asked us to stay on as like advisors for upcoming whatever they're planning to do. So it's great that they still want us involved and in the loop. Um, I will say, and I'm going to stand up a little bit for the organizers here. Like they, there were like 10 of them, like 10 people involved in the organization of an event of this size,
Hmm.
which I think it doesn't mean that their oversights were okay. I just think that they were at capacity for what, like, they did what they could do with the capacity of people that they had, and like everyone in the town got involved. So I definitely think that they, give them kudos where kudos are deserved. They definitely did what they could, but at the end of the
Yeah,
day, I just think it's almost on, maybe shouldn't say this, but it's almost on World Athletics for giving them the bid
yeah,
if they didn't have the capacity for it, right?
exactly.
This should have been something that was considered by World Athletics when awarding the bid.
Yeah, yeah. This is not to put the blame on the actual
Mm,
organizer of the event,
yeah.
but it is to say that at this point of the evolution of our sport, we can't afford to we can't afford missed opportunities. We can't
No,
afford to step
no.
back. We need to
Mm-mm.
keep growing.
Mm,
And yeah, I think overall I cannot say that this was a step backward compared to Innsbruck, but it wasn't the leap I was expecting for sure.
yeah.
So
I
it's
think.
probably a good moment to stop and reflect on what didn't work and
Mm.
definitely try to improve it for next time.
Yeah. I think
I
what
think we
did
can give
work was that the live feed and like the viewership of it was improved, and like
good.
the following on social media and all of that stuff was improved, which is great. It doesn't mean that from the outsider's point of view, them watching is still moving us forward, which I think is very positive.
Good. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to give good feedback, and also I'm thinking with the
Don't
work we're
hold.
doing with the PTRA, we can definitely do
Yeah,
something, and it's one of
yeah,
the reasons why PTRA exists.
yeah.
So we're held in pretty good consideration by World Athletics and
That's awesome.
ITRA and UTMB. So they care about us, they listen to us,
Mhm.
which is good
Yeah,
for the
it's
sport.
important. Definitely important to help us grow in the right way, because I think there's a wrong way to grow, and um, I think we're trending in a good direction. Honestly, I really do.
How do you feel
So,
about the current evolution versus 5 years ago? Could you imagine this kind of growth? And yeah, I also feel pretty good about the current state of the sport,
mm,
which I'm not not entirely surprised about, but I don't know how to explain it. It's I don't know. Like sometimes I mean, personally, I focus a lot on the things that don't work, that need to be taken care of. Obviously,
mm,
like what works doesn't need immediate attention, so
mm,
you maybe forget about it sometimes or take it for granted.
mm,
You focus on the negatives and things that actually don't work. But I feel like yes, there is a ton of issues within our sport and broadly within our society, obviously.
mm.
But the sport is probably healthier than it was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
How do you feel?
yeah. I fully agree. I think that um, they I think the biggest issue that people have had with the way the sport has grown has been the professionalization of it, and the fact that a UTMB and Ironman have come in and like created this World Series and made it more professional and put streaming on it, and all of these things which maybe, I'm not going to say detract, but veer slightly away from the original trail running world, the more like dirt bag, you local event, someone
Grassroots.
starting a race with like the real classic, very you going out onto the mountain to explore kind of races. Yeah, very grassroots. And I don't think that they need to live, they're not mutually exclusive, and they don't have to be like, they can't not live together, right? You can have the professional side of the sport and the grassroots level, and they don't actually infringe on each other, because not everyone wants to participate in a UTMB, but the grassroots people don't struggle from that. And I think we've seen that because trail running as a sport has grown in such a huge way. um, so for me, I think it's great that people are getting better supported to go to races like a UTMB and the World Series, or go to a Golden Trail World Series or a sky running. I think that's amazing. I really do. um, like you say, there's a lot still wrong with the sport in terms of representation, diversity, gender equality. We've made a lot of progress, but there are still, societal issues that then stem into trail running, which are really hard to address. I do think there are um, things that can be done to address those, but it's like they're huge problems, right? They're not just like easy fixes.
Yeah.
It's super easy to only focus on the negative and be like, okay, well, that doesn't work, how do we improve it? But I also think, and maybe this is something that we've done well, is we've looked at how we want the sport to grow as a whole, and like we haven't gotten stuck only on the stuff that we can't do and achieve in the short term. So, like, I think the sport has moved really nicely. I do think that we can't get stuck on the fact that, diversity is it's still very a white dominant sport. Um, it's still very a northern hemisphere sport. Europe and Americas, like those are the two biggest representations on the start lines. So it's like, how do you get more people from the southern hemisphere, the South Africa, southern Africans, or the Africans and the Southern Americans, the Asians, like how do we integrate them into the sport better? Um, but that's like a huge societal problem. That's not like a trail running
Right.
problem. So it's like,
It's
I don't
like,
know.
yeah, it's like trying to address the environmental impact of trail running
Mm,
if like only looking at trail running.
yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Like it's a
Uh-uh.
much broader issue that we need to address as a
Yeah.
society,
Yeah.
which involves so many different aspects of what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. And you
So
can't address them all. Like,
yeah,
so you can address
there
one thing at a time and you can do little things to improve everything as much as possible. But at some point, that's like at
they are
least.
systemic issues
Yeah.
that reflect in the sport, and the only thing we can do as people is to have good influence on our own
Mhm.
bubble, I guess, and
Yeah.
spread positivity and try to do good things within the sport and outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, I think what the work that the PTRA does is important in helping steer the conversations in the right direction within races and big organizations, because they do hold a lot of power to maybe open up diversity spots or to host some sort of program to help people get across. And there is still a lot that people can do on a bigger scale, bigger than just like the personal level. But I think, like you say, one of the most important things that we can do as individuals is just try and have a good influence on our bubble. And there's lots that we can do. There's lots more that I could probably do, but um, yeah, you just got to try and do your best. But I don't know.
yeah,
I'm pretty positive about where the sport is going. Honestly, I'd rather
thank
that
you.
than be negative and doom and gloom.
That's good. Do you feel do you feel a sense of responsibility towards the sport and the platform that you have as an athlete?
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
I think like we've achieved this status thanks to our results, obviously,
Mhm.
not necessarily thanks to the issues or the message we try to spread, but
Mhm.
obviously that is also a part of who we are. So
Yeah.
how do you handle that?
Yeah. I mean, it's an immense privilege to have enough of a following to feel like I have a voice. And I definitely feel like um, it's important to use that in a positive way. And up until this point, I don't know if and maybe this is me being incredibly critical of myself, but I don't feel like I've used it um, in a super constructive way. I think I've achieved the side of like inspiring and maybe giving a lot of courage and confidence to women, especially women and men. I've had a lot of women and men come up to me and say, you've given me a lot of confidence to do this thing that I didn't think I could do. So I think in that sense, I've done well.
I can confirm.
But um, but I do think
Because
there's
you
still
had the same effect on me. So
Thank you. Well, I mean, likewise. What you did this year has like been very, very inspiring to watch. So
thank you.
I'm pretty sure I don't speak only for myself when I say that. Um, but I still think that there's so much more I could do, and especially coming from somewhere like South Africa that does have historically quite, historically, there's a lot of separation and a lack of diversity within a sport like trail running, and less so running, but running is much more accessible in South Africa. Um, and then also just obviously the pay gap and the level of poverty and the lack of accessibility to a pair of running shoes and to go running. Like I do think that there's a lot I could do within the development of um, trail running, because that's what I do, but also just the like getting sport and running as a general category. um yeah, I just think that there's a lot you can do in development running in South Africa, and there's so much untapped potential. And that's also why I'm really grateful I got to be a part of that observer program at the World Champs, because I do think that we're working now on creating structures to improve trail running within our athletics federation, and not have it as something that is an afterthought. And hopefully that will develop the sport and give people better opportunities to pursue it. So I think that there's a lot of work that I can do, and not all of it is like going to be front facing. It's like not going to be stuff that I necessarily talk about on my social media, at least not in the short term. But yeah, I do feel a level of responsibility. Like, I've been given this incredible opportunity in life, and I want to make sure that other people have this opportunity too. And that means helping, set up a mountain running world champs in national champs in South Africa, set up the sport, because we don't have mountain running, but we've got so many incredible 10K runners who would absolutely crush at a
Yeah.
mountain running event. So, like, I don't know, there's a lot in the background that I can still do that I haven't necessarily tapped into yet. But yeah, definitely being at world champs now and seeing the impact that we can have, and potentially sending like I truly believe it when I say this, but like sending one of the stronger teams in 2027, like, that is incredibly motivating. And I do want to be more involved in that for sure.
Is dry running seen as a separate thing from running in general in South Africa, kind of like it happens here in Europe? Because I think like for us trail runners, I mean, running is running, and trail
Mm.
running is part of a broader thing that we call running. But for people who run road, track, and maybe cross country,
Yeah,
trail running is a separate thing.
it's a
You know what
very
I mean?
different thing. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's probably the consensus in South Africa too. Um, it's not it's not a formalized sport in South Africa. Like, it's not recognized by our governing body. It's not recognized by Athletics South Africa as a sport. Um, so it's grown very organically from up until this point. But I do think at some point it is going to have to start being regulated. It's in some way or form, and I think at that point it will become a more recognized form of running in South Africa. But yeah, for now it's like a lot of people, you'll go, oh, you're like, I run, and they'll be like, okay, well, what do you do? It's like, well, no, I trail run. And they're like, what? Like, what is that? Or, like, oh, but you haven't done comrades? It's like, are you sure you're a runner? You haven't done comrades, or you haven't done two oceans? Like, are you sure you're a runner? um, so yeah, there's definitely yeah, I would definitely say it's still not a very well known or well recognized sport in South Africa. But it can get there. It can get there. Like I say, we've got so much talent in this country, and like our cross country runners, it's like they just need to be given the opportunity. And yeah, that means having proper selections and
Proper
yeah,
structure.
proper structure in place to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't think South Africa is the only place that's a problem. Like, I'm
Oh
pretty
no,
sure,
for
I
sure.
think in France it's the same. Like, the structure around running is amazing, but trail running is like a branch of it that it hasn't really been figured out yet.
Yes.
Everywhere is experiencing these problems, these like teething problems of a sport that's grown to a point where it needs to be regulated, and no one really knows how to implement that.
Yeah.
So I think it's also, sorry, just snowballing thoughts here, but I think
Please
World
do.
Athletics also might need to reconsider the fact that, like, maybe an athletics federation doesn't want to manage trail running, and maybe trail running should manage itself, because up until this point it has done that. And I think it's going to be very hard to convince, you know, in road running, all races have to be licensed. You have to buy a
Yes.
license to be a part of a road running race. That doesn't happen in trail running.
Right.
It's going to be incredibly hard now to go to all the trail running races around the world and be like, actually, now you need to
Convince
pay a
them to.
fee to your athletics federation, who doesn't really want to manage trail running. So, like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen between the parties, and maybe that means
Right.
setting up specific trail running federations in the countries and not having them fall under the athletics federations. But then that means World Athletics needs to recognize them, and that's also tricky.
Yeah. I wonder if it should come from the bottom up or the opposite. Like, should World Athletics try to convince the national federations to actually care about trail running and try to rule the sport within their countries, or should it come from the community trying to convince federations and race organizers to rule the sport, and
Mm,
then you know, I'm not sure. I think historically federations um, have neglected our sport for sure.
Mm.
It's we've grown as a largely unregulated sport and activity that people just do without rules, and we've taken pride in that
Mm.
because we're very like free, like we're very like free spirit, and
Yeah.
until it becomes until there's issues, basically,
Mm.
doping or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, logistics and regulations and things that people start
Funding.
complaining about. Yep. Um, so I think it's all part of trail running growing pains. Um, and we are probably past these growth phase, the youth phase of trail running,
Mm.
growing towards the adult phase, where we actually need some rules and we need to
Yeah.
set standards and
Mm.
have clear who does what and who deals with what. So yeah, we have probably lost some time, and that is another reason why we can't afford to take steps forward in this
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
And federations can't afford to like make mistakes, I
Yeah.
guess.
I feel like they like you can't overlook the sport anymore. And I think part of the reason World
Like
Athletics
if you
is
want to
doing
take care of
it.
trail running, you have to do it well.
Mm.
Otherwise, the community
The
is not gonna
community
like
won't
that.
buy in. Like I think
They won't agree.
something that
Yeah.
is trail running is such a unique sport because the community is such an integral part of it, right? We're opinionated, we know what we want, we're pretty stubborn about our sport remaining true to what it is. And I think if the authorities that be are not aligned with that and don't allow it to continue in some way like it has originally, with that, like they can't expect us to fall in line with their current rules. And I think there needs to be some consideration for how the sport has grown up until this point. And I just worry that, I mean, I think about our federations, like I just don't see how they are going to do that because they
Hmm.
actually don't care about the sport. They really don't. And like it's hard, I
They
shouldn't
will
say that,
have to,
but the
I
thing is, I
think.
think, and this is what I'm thinking is like, they'll care up. I really shouldn't be saying this. They'll care about it until 2027, right? Because we have to put on a good face. Like we have to show up to that event in like with a strong team and like a good like they have to look good. After that, it could go back to nothing again. And like it's
But it could
just
also be different.
it could be. This
You
is what
know,
we're working for, right? And
I
this is
think,
why
yeah, I
it's
think
important to have these discussions.
once they see like the opportunities that can present and
Mm.
how big the sport has become and the status we have achieved,
Mm.
they will not back off. They will actually start caring, like it's
Yeah.
happened in other countries for sure.
Mm. Yeah, I guess
But also,
the hope
basic, yeah.
is with federations getting involved is that they do actually care about like the development of the sport, and that means supporting young runners and giving them opportunities. And there is a lot still to do in the sport. Um, so
Also, I
yeah.
think understanding the needs and necessities of the community and not trying to force new things within the community,
Mm.
like respecting what trail running already is and trying to improve from there, but not forcing something that trail running is not, just
Yeah.
because these people are coming, from road running or track and field, and they want to make trail running the same. It's
Yeah.
never going to be the same. We have our specificities and history and tradition, which is important to respect,
Mm.
and the community will step up for that, I think.
Yeah.
So
There'll be a lot of pushback if they don't
yeah,
respect that for sure.
So this is what
And
I mean when I say if they want to roll the sport, they have to do it well.
yeah, they have to step up to the plate,
Yeah,
and I think part of that is learning about the sport too, which is why, as much as as much as it can be frustrating, like having all of our federation leaders there in Canfranc to experience world champs, I think is really important, because how are you supposed to manage a sport that you don't understand? So for them to be there and to see trail running and to get out onto the course and to go and stand at the top of the vertical race and to like see Remy absolutely crushing it, and what was her name,
yeah.
Nina?
Nina Engelert.
Yeah. Like to see her run the race as she did, like it's so important for them to see that. And I think it also, in some ways made them see that we have the potential to be there if they put the right structures in place. So hopefully now that they've seen it and they've got me breathing up their butt and a bunch of other people in South Africa, really pushing to have proper structures in place. I think, hopefully we'll see this moving in the right direction. And not only in South Africa, but just around the world.
Totally. Back to you. I don't want to keep you for too long. I guess just what is next for you? Are you already thinking about 2026? And what's coming up in the next few
Yes.
weeks,
Well, I'm going to be
if you want to
healing
share?
this little ankle of mine. So I'm back on the bike and I'm going to be buying a treadmill because, the pounding of road just doesn't sound super appealing. And I think a treadmill is slightly easier on the body, but it also means that I'm running on a very smooth surface. And they said when I return to running, I need to be running in a straight line. So I was like, treadmill, great. Um, but there's another reason I want to buy a treadmill, because I'm planning on doing an early season race next year down south. So I'm going to head down to Tarawera and do the 100K there in hope
Golden
of
ticket?
potentially looking at a shiny little ticket, but not going to get ahead of myself. So I've pretty much planned that far in my season, and then we'll see. But if I get a ticket this year, I will not. Well, next year I
You'll
won't
take
turn
it.
it down. Yeah. So,
That's cool.
um, yeah, I can't believe I said that out loud. It's happening now. um, so yeah, that, and then maybe I'll head over to America. Sonoma's done 100K now, so they've changed
Yeah.
their 80K to 100K. So maybe go and do Lake Sonoma the 100K as a preparation race if I do get a golden ticket, and then I won't plan anything after States. If I do States, it's most likely going to be season end, at least. Yeah, I can't imagine running anything else after that.
I
But
can
we'll see.
either.
We'll reassess after that. So yeah.
Yeah.
And you're also heading to States, right? Well, you're also. I'm
I
saying it like I'm already going, but you are heading to States.
yeah, I accepted the golden ticket, mostly to just keep that option open, and
Mm,
for sure, it's a goal on the horizon, which needs to be properly translated into a plan. So
mm,
as soon as I finish my off season, I need to sit down with my coach and really think about how we want to approach 2026 and what races we want to do, and whether Western states make sense for me in
mm.
2026, which I think that is the case. So I'm very excited about that. Um, but yeah, there is a difference between having a dream and then actually doing the thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's so
So
often. So often I plan out my season and then I do maybe one race that was originally planned. You're like, what the hell? Why do I even do
right,
this? It's so frustrating.
right,
But
and I don't like to make plans while I am in my off season, just because
mm,
I want to properly shut my
rest.
brain
Yeah.
off and not
Yeah.
think about running much.
Yeah. How long are you taking off?
I think just until next week. So it's been 3 weeks since Worlds.
Mhm.
Actually, I don't know. It's weird, but I think it's also normal since I don't have like my proper training routine. I find myself more tired than usual.
Mm.
Like maybe mentally I'm not super tired, but I don't know. I feel like I'm just lazy maybe, or I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think it's, yeah, maybe it's just like, you've had a busy year. Like this is, I don't want to say it's catching up, but I think it's just important time
It
to
is
rest.
catching up
Like your
for sure.
body knows that. Your body knows that this is its time to like capitalize on properly resting and recovering. So be a bit lazy, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely allowing myself to rest and to take
Mm,
my time and not run and just do whatever I feel like doing.
nice.
Um, but also, yeah, to some extent, like looking forward to getting back into the
Mm,
training routine because it makes me feel really good.
yeah.
And it's
And that's
hard, but
important.
it's what we like.
Yeah. Um, we love that it's hard.
Yeah. Okay, Tony. Thanks a lot. It was great to catch up with you after, yeah, I think a couple of years ago you were on the pod. And then last year with
Yeah.
Danny and Ingvild from
Yeah.
Auburn.
Yeah. We'll have
So
to make it a yearly catch up.
cool.
Oh,
Enjoy
well,
your
thank you so
afternoon.
much. Yeah, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your off season. And
Thanks.
yeah,
See you next time.
we'll see you next time. Yeah, bye.